Give that vote.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Rhino.
We can't have anyone freak out there, okay? We've got to keep our composure.
Light the beam!
It's gone too far.
Light
There's
it!
too much to lose. We've got to keep our composure.
Especially against this team tonight in the Rockets. They like to try to get you to lose your cool. Can the Kings keep their composure? It is homecoming. It is, I don't know. What do you want to call it? Winter ball. It is that time for the Kings. They set foot on the big stage of TNT tonight for the first time this season. If you are going to be at the G1C, I want to hear from you. In fact, I want to hear from a lot of you today. Not too many phone calls the last couple days. So let's get after it. This is a big night for the Kings. The fact that they're coming off a 7-game winning streak, won 7 of 8, 7 of 9 under Doug Christie. Now you get the Rockets for a second time at home. You beat them in the first meeting. We're going to break it down. The Rockets played last night. Also, we've got some news about the trade deadline. We've also got LeBron James. What? Why buy a team when you can start your own league? What's going on there? And passing of an all-time great, especially in the game of baseball, not necessarily on the field, but just around it. A guy that was kind of quote-unquote Mr. Baseball to a degree. We'll talk about Bob Uecker as well. You got a couple articles in The Athletic with the Kings, one around the Rockets, the other around Keon Ellis. So all of that can be show fodder. Let's get after it. We got a big day of programming here on If You Don't Like That. This kicks it off. Court is in session. Welcome to the Kings Court on If You Don't Like That.
Grant and Ryan, break it down. It's Sacktown, we're the crown.
Needs to be more aggressive on the offensive end, but this is the kind of
Williams, the D-Box.
Bucks. Goodbye. Oh, if you don't like that.
Court is in session. What's up, you all? Ryan in Sacktown coming to you from the Kings Court Studios, powered by Bennett's Westside Grill in Rockland. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. You can check out all 3 locations. We'll talk more about them here in a little bit. We've got calls already on the line. I love it. Dirk will be coming to you in a few minutes. But big one tonight for the Kings, the Rockets. A little bit of a tall ask. Tough back-to-back if you're them. Denver last night, although they win, we'll hit that in a bit. Steph Curry telling all of us to shut up. Interesting. Don't usually hear that out of him. Twitter fingers. What are Twitter fingers? We'll try to figure that out as well. So hope you're having a good day wherever you are, whatever you're doing. What are the plans for the game tonight? In fact, Kings are going to have a couple of games this week on national TV. These next 3 at home, to me, have to be 3 that you win. Period. End of story. If you want to stay at or above 500, you got to get these next 3 beginning tonight against Houston. Now, as for the injury report, I think we should get to that really quick. I'm hearing Tari Eason is probably not playing tonight. He's listed as a game time decision. He did not play last night. He was doubtful going into that one. Jabari Smith, he is out as well. I'm hearing Malik Monk probable for this game. However, your rookie, Devin Carter, questionable, left shoulder soreness. We'll keep an eye on that. Jordan McLaughlin out of this one as well. But the big piece that you're looking for, Malik Monk, he will return most likely tonight for the Kings. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. I swear, is this team going to get a healthy deck for an extended period of time. I really hope so at some point, but having Monk back to me is essential. So let me know where you're watching from today. Let me know what you're thinking, what's going on. We're coming to you for about 90 minutes, kicking off the programming today on If You Don't Like That. We'll be back at 6:15 with the pregame show. Make sure that you come back around. We'll get heavy into the numbers at 6:15. We'll take your predictions. We'll also have some updated information on who's in, who's out, etc. So join us for that. Jerry Reynolds at the halftime. Always a great time. We had a really good Kings roundtable yesterday with Jerry. In fact, we talked, I thought it was a great question, quite frankly, from Grant asking Jerry about the fundamentals of the pick and roll. If you're teaching basketball 101, explain the differences with the pick and roll and why it works so well between Monk and Sabonis, etc. We'll replay a portion of that, but he'll be back with us at the half. And then post game, taking your calls. Should be a big post game tonight, win or lose. Hopefully,
That's terrible.
we're not hearing that, and we're hearing this.
Light the beam! Light it!
My beam's charged. You don't have to worry about it. The beam behind me is charged. We're ready to go. Really funny note, really quick, before we get going and we get to Dirk. I've got a good group of friends, but it's a different group of friends. Like, I've got the basketball friends, right? People that are in the industry, people that cover teams, contacts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, where most times we talk hoops. I mean, sometimes you mix in some small talk, but a lot of it is basketball related in some way or another. And then I've got this other group of friends, and it's never basketball talk. In fact, I mean, maybe we get a little bit of football, but most of it is everything else. Nothing sports related. In fact, that was the group that I went to Wisco with last summer. But we get into these random conversations, and Haunted Horses brought this up so many times in the chat on this show and the show that we do on his platform, HollywoodRejects.com, where he's like, dude, why don't you just make a decision with your facial hair? You got to make a decision. Like, I don't get it. One day it looks like you have a beard. One day it looks like you're clean shaven. And so we started having this conversation. I'd really like to know where all of you fall on this, especially if you're a guy. This is more targeted to the dudes, the fellas out there. There's like this train of thinking. You're either in one court or the other. It's like, man, I wish I could grow a beard. That would be so cool. I just can't do it. It's patchy. And then there's the other side where it's like, yeah, we can grow beards, but we have to shave every single day. It's a trade-off. Having to shave every day is a little bit of a hassle. It's not always great on the skin either. And I know some women can relate to that as well, especially during the summertime, not their faces, but legs, etc. And so we get into that. Now we get into the conversation about regular razors versus electric. And so, like, where do you stand? Like, would you rather be able to grow a beard and have to shave your face every single day to look clean cut? Or would you rather not have to shave every day and be a little patchy? Can't grow that beard. I need some reaction from you. So let me know. We'll start going through the chats and get into this. We'll talk about Bob Uecker as well. But as I said, Kings, Rockets, big story tonight here in Sacktown. Let's kick it off with my man who knows his hoops, Dirk. Happy Thursday, dude.
Happy Thursday. Go Team Beard, by the way.
Team Beard. All right. One vote for
literally
Team
shave
Beard.
in seconds, so it's not that bad. But
all right.
A belated you were correct to you, Ryan. You called the Celtics victory the Bucks loss. So congratulations there. But I wish I was
wrong, Dirk. I wish it would have been 2 wins. I wish I was wrong.
But no, good call. I mean, Giannis looked unstoppable. But anyway, I think it feels like this point in the season we're at a grand reset point of we're 3 losses from the 5th seed, right? There's 17 losses there. Yet we're 1 more loss from the 12 seed. Such a fascinating place to be 40 games into the season. But This is a real critical game, and I've been analyzing a little bit about the Houston Rockets, what they're doing lately, and we're in for a tall task tonight. They're on a
I
5-game
agree.
winning streak. Jalen Green has been a monster. He averages 21 points a game, but the last 5, he looks like he's putting about 30 points a game. So that being said, he did put up 29 in the Kings victory before, but
Correct.
previous game, analyzing how we won that game, it was a good defensive effort. Kings took care of the ball pretty well. They won the turnover battle. We had 10, they had 15. We had 8 blocks that game, which is fascinating. So Keegan was really effective in that game. And we shot 47% from 3, which that's not going to happen every game.
No.
But what stands out huge is the rebounding disparity. They out-rebounded us something like 53-34. Sabonis being kind of neutralized by their bigs. So also, I think a key factor, Isaac Jones. That was Isaac Jones' best game, if you recall.
For sure. It's a great point.
Put up 12
running
points that game. He looked like he was going to solve a lot of problems.
Yeah,
and
he's a savior.
You think he gets some play tonight, just out of curiosity?
You know what? Maybe it's possible if Doug turned to Jay Crowder last game, and I get why he did. It was like break the glass, pull the lever, emergency. Can I get a spurt out of anybody on this team right now? But yeah, with Houston's athleticism, it's very possible, especially if Sabonis gets into foul trouble. Şengün, for whatever reason, is just a filthy matchup for Sabonis because although he's a little bit bigger, he's just as quick. Sabonis has him in the strength, but he's about as quick, maybe if not quicker. So it makes for an interesting one-on-one game within the game.
Yeah, it is. I think in that previous game, Sabonis scored really easily, and that's thanks to Malik Monk. Right, 12 assists that game. I think I recall a lot of that 2-man action between Sabonis and him. And while Sabonis didn't get the boards we're accustomed to, he was able to score 27 points, and I think that's going to be available to him tonight, assuming Malik Monk plays in this game. It'll be a critical element of what we do. But DeRozan didn't shoot particularly well, but I will say, like, to me, this game feels like this is the moment where De'Aaron Fox either shows that he's into this team, into what they're trying to accomplish, or he's tuned out. I mean, watching the Bucks game, I didn't see a lot of energy out of him personally. I didn't feel like he was heavily invested in the emotional aspect of the game. Coming on a 7-game win streak, like maybe feeling some sense of pride that your team, like, we got to keep this going. Yeah, I didn't see that fight in him personally. And maybe I'm looking at it too, from a weird perspective. But what was your sense of that game?
I thought it was the first game that we really saw the Kings, like you said, center around the pick and roll. I thought they were downhill almost the entire game. They were targeting mismatches at times, especially with Dylan Brooks. They frustrated the hell out of him. Now, granted, there was that little scuffle in the third quarter. I think Fox gets teed up there. Or maybe it was the second quarter. Let's just say temperatures were rising a little bit. Tempers were rising. I think the Kings need a similar effort tonight. I thought you hit the nail on the head about the game plan, or at least the execution in Milwaukee. It was not really downhill. In fact, it was deceptively, how do I put this? If you rewatch that game, it was so clear to me, although the pace was close to what the Kings wanted to play, the Kings were playing nowhere like they had been playing the 7 games prior to that. And even in that Bulls game, it slowed down a little bit too. It picked up in the third quarter with the zone defense that Doug Christie threw at Levine. So I think you're spot on. If you don't come out and make Houston feel you first, if you're not getting physical with them, if you're not taking it to them or at least matching their physicality, watch out. They'll walk on you, even though it's the second night of a back-to-back. They blew out Denver last night, Dirk.
Yeah. Like I said, tall task. One good thing is Dylan Brooks has looked terrible, according to the stat line, taking a lot of shots and not making too many of them. So hopefully the Kings can, make that happen where he's the open man. But yeah, I just really want to see it from Fox tonight. If you don't have, I think we could really benefit from Devin Carter rebounding in this game.
100%. Yeah.
Just the disparity from last game. But that shoulder did not look good when he fell like 2 minutes to go in the game. I didn't even see the contact with the floor, but it almost looked like you had a funny bone and he just couldn't work it out. So I'm hoping it's not anything too serious.
Yeah, me too. I mean, the worst thing besides the obvious, a rotator cuff, another labrum, but an AC joint, that is what I worry about. It's that little tip that's on the top of your shoulder blade. That can be one of the most painful injuries out there with the shoulder. And it's not technically serious, but it's just nearly impossible to play through. Kevin Huerter has dealt with that a little bit. So I'm hoping it's nothing in that range. But even if Devin is able to play, you bring up a good point, how that's his game. It's physicality. It's crashing the boards. Will he be hesitant? Will he be able to do all those same things? Right, Dirk?
Exactly. So my takeaway from this game tonight, I'm going to know how I feel about De'Aaron Fox moving forward.
Why is it this game? Why is it this game in particular?
Because we've reset now, right? The win streak's over. It's gone, right? It's time to regroup. So it's just a key emotional moment to me in the season because they did what hasn't been done, what feels like for a very long time in this team. I know it may have been a couple years ago they won 7 games, but after losing 6 to go back and win 7 is incredible.
Right.
And it's done. So the emotional aspect of that win streak is gone. You're sort of reset. You've got a favorable schedule coming up, and I'll let you talk about that without me thinking on it. But again, you got a hot team. They swept you last year. Fox was absent for most of those games, I think, if not all of them. And now this year, there was a real feisty energy game where I remember Fox had a lot of what his best qualities going in that game with that defense, with his attitude. And this is a real important game for this team moving forward if they're going to achieve a playoff spot. So I want to feel the emotion from Fox tonight that he cares about all the things that are going on with this team. And at least in this role tonight, I want him to take lead, as be an emotional leader on this team for this game.
So when you say you want to see him display or feel the emotion of this team, like what exactly are you looking for? Because for me with De'Aaron Fox, that's a really fine line. I don't think he's a guy that is able to kind of put things in their own piles and deal with one at a time. At times, if he gets focused on the refs, it can take him out of his game. And conversely, if somebody, quote unquote, pisses him off, he can go into that Foxy mode. And I think kind of the question that a lot of us have asked is, why can't you get the Foxy mode without needing to be pissed off, right? So what are you looking for from his energy? Is it getting everybody involved? Is it just being up in everybody's grills defensively? What is it?
No, that's a really good question. I think even when he goes Fox mode with that anger, it's a reaction. It's never, right. I'm going to instill my energy. It's like you forced me to react to your BS, basically. And I'm pretty sure Dylan Brooks will provide him the motivation.
100%. Yes.
So it's just the ability to take over the game in slow patches. When he comes in, getting his offense efficiently, that's what I'm looking for. Because they're going to react to how we've approached them the first time. Fred VanVleet didn't have a good first game, but in the last 5, he's been playing. He has some numbers, like not in every game, but in some of them. They got Cam Whitmore off the bench who's performing. They have a lot of weapons that maybe we didn't see their best effort in that first game. If they can, if they can stop like Dylan Brooks from doing things that you don't want Dylan Brooks to do, we're gonna have a tough go here, and so it's a real important strategic game. The Kings can win this with that same defense they put forward, but it takes a lot of energy to put that defense in the play. Fox, I don't want to see him gamble a ton. I just want him to.
It's, you know what? Bingo, dude. You nailed it.
It's like just hyper focus, maintain that energy, and just if you Kings could very easily win 3 of the next 4 games. Or I shouldn't say easily. I can see them winning at least 3 of the next 4 games. But to have that happen, you just gotta restart that win streak now. Like bring that same energy you were bringing in the later parts of this win streak. This would be a really powerful victory.
I agree. You go because to me, you look at the top of the Western Conference. I think it's going to be OKC number 1. Nobody's touching them, and it's going to be a toss up between Memphis and Houston. I think those are the 3 top teams in the West. And look, Houston's still looking to get better. And so if you can, and also a team that beat you 4 times last year, Dirk. So if you can get 2 on them, which gives you at least the tie on the season, you're doing pretty damn well. And also, this matters. It's national TV. The Kings are not on TNT that much. This matters, especially coming off of, I mean, if you're a spectator from afar of the NBA, you don't stay up for the West Coast games. All you've heard about the Kings is they fired Mike Brown, they've won 7 straight games, and the winning streak ended. That's really what you know about this team. So what are they going to show tonight? And then you follow it up against the Warriors on ESPN as well.
Well, good point. I didn't know it was a national TV game. Now I got to figure out how I'm going to watch the game as well. But Fox historically has shown up for those games. And if you have to think, if he's on, even if he feels like he's on his way out, well, he's auditioning a little bit more for a few different fan bases. But
Yep,
critical game.
Sure.
I look forward to it.
Critical game. Yep, for sure. Make sure you find that game. If you don't, hit me up.
Oh, I'll figure it out. I've always got my ways. I probably have it, but Fubo, I think is the name of the app. It gets most of the games, although some of the games have been recorded in the dog show or something, like some BS. Quite upsetting, but
well, if you need a Max sign in, hit me up, dude. I got you.
No worries,
that
dude.
way you can see
I'm all set.
All right, brother. Be well. Dirk kicking us off with a good call. A lot of good points. You're looking at the last meeting between these 2 teams. One thing that Dirk did not mention that I thought was the biggest thing to this game, and great call by Dirk, by the way. Incredible call to start off the show. Way to give us some momentum into this Kings Rockets conversation. It's that 16 turnovers that the Kings forced. 16 turnovers the Kings forced. That was the first time that I remember, 22 points, by the way, off of those turnovers. That was the first time I remember this year, this season, the Kings playing ping pong back and forth or tennis back and forth with the G1C like they used to do at Arco Arena, where it was defense that turns into offense. And before you know it, it's a freaking avalanche. It's a massive pop when you just hit a 2-point bucket, even though it's nothing. It's 2:30 left in the 3rd quarter. People are going nuts because they're seeing the hustle. Like Sacramento fan, and I can only speak for myself, but historically speaking, when I've been at games, like Sacramento fan gets off on that. When you're seeing your guys just getting up and getting into the other team's business, and instead of waiting to see what energy they're going to bring to you, you just snatch their energy and snatch their aggression from them. This crowd base is different. There's not a better crowd base, a fan base, an atmosphere in the NBA when the Kings are playing that style in front of this city. And this was the first game. I remember that. It definitely was. And so can they follow it up tonight? We'll see. We talked about the travel yesterday. It is a tough travel for Denver. Again, if you're looking at the numbers from last night, we had those up a second ago. Denver blew, or excuse me, The Rockets blew out Denver 128-108. The starters, Amen Thomas, 35 minutes. Or Thompson, excuse me. Dylan Brooks, 26 minutes. Şengün, 26 minutes. Van Vliet, 35. And Jalen Green, 30 minutes, respectfully. So not a ton of minutes. And I guess we're basing that. I don't know what they normally play, but we're basing that on what the Kings starters play, which is towards the top of the NBA. So I want to get all of you in on the conversation as well. If you don't have an ad blocker, what's going on? I need an ad blocker. Lose the beam? Why lose the beam? I love the beam. Well, do you hear the A's asking if they can have a beam? That waters the beam down. If you give the A's a yellow beam, you might as well stop doing the purple beam. That means you just hand out beams to any team in this city. No, the beam is exclusive to the Kings. And yes, I am aware that they lit the beam one time for UCLA, and that pissed me off because Princeton also had a couple of upsets that weekend here at the G1C in the NCAA tournament, and that was Coach's team, Pete Carrill. You don't light the beam for them, but you do it for an LA team? Get the hell out of here. Diehard Fred. Hey, Diehard Fred, I got something for you, my man. You're a diehard fan, huh? Here you go, Diehard Fred. I had something for you. Can I find it? Oh, there it is. Here you go, Diehard Fred.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Welcome to the party. Donald, this is a good pregame insight. Appreciate it. There's some in-depth to this conversation. Well done. Hey, Diehard Fred, if this is your first time here, give us a couple days. It'll grow on you, my man. We're not bound by credentials here. No offense to those that have credentials. It's just a different dance when you do. A lot of people that I know, a lot of people that I respect have them, but with that comes a different style of show that you have to do. And a lot of times Napes and I get a lot of hate in terms of us being negative, but it's just we're giving you both sides of the conversation. We're trying to give you both angles. We need to give you a little bit of salt to go with the sugar. So Donald, what's up, man? Fox getting too over emotional at times can make mistakes. So an angry Fox isn't always a good. I agree. Look, that happened in the play-in game against New Orleans. He made 3 bad plays in a row at the end of the third quarter. That was a wrap for the team, and that was a wrap for him as well. And that's why I said it's a very fine line to Dirk with Foxy when it comes to that. Just as long as Carter keeps playing some defense, that's all you need him for right now. That is what you need him for, and he does it at a high level so far for a rookie. Kings need to play Carter more. He brings a lot to the offense. Really, Nihai? You think Devin brings a lot to the offense? Interesting. In what way do you see Devin bringing a lot to the offense? I'm not disagreeing with you. I just want to get an idea of what you're seeing relative to maybe what I'm seeing, what Jerry's seeing, what Grant's seeing. Hope you're having a good day as well. Our man, Jesus Christ, my King, is here in the show. What's up, dude? Hope you're doing well. Want to see go to the hole more? Lay off the, yeah, dude, look. When De'Aaron was playing his best basketball of this season, I tagged it the Fox formula in what it is. Yeah, there's your WD-40. Still haven't done it so I can hear the kid. And yes, the kid is here right now because he's been sick all week. So I know where he's at any time. I don't need to look around. But back to what you were referring to with the 3-pointers, when he was playing his best basketball, his 3-point attempts were in the same neighborhood as his assists. And that's usually the best version of Fox. And it's the best version of Fox that works the most cohesive with the rest of this unit. So, and Dirk, another thing, my man, is this was a game. The Kings had 30, how many assists? 33 assists, dude. That was one of the first times they were really sharing the ball around. If I look at their scoring, let's actually look at this really quick. Let me put that back up for all of you. If you look at the Kings scoring, look at how balanced it is, y'all. You got 5 in double digits in the starters. So all starters are in double digits. Then you've got 2 off the bench with double digits as well. That's 7. Now, Houston, just to give you an idea, the reason they are near the top of the Western Conference, they have 7 guys that average double digits. Now, on the second night of a back-to-back, Houston's 3 and 4. Not that irregular for a team playing back-to-back. Usually that's not a shining record, especially on the road. So something to look for there. But there's balance. And I will say last game, and if you look at the win streak for the most part for this team, there was balance. And balance was completely off last game. You had, I believe, off the top of my head, it was 42 shots between Fox and DeRozan. 42 shots. It's a lot of shots. And I know DeRozan was cooking. You're not in that game without DeRozan. But this team, they function best when they play as a team, when everybody's getting touches. So Fox was 2 of 8 from 3 last game. Yeah, look, Sabonis was 3 of 5 at halftime from the floor. He didn't get his next shot against the Bucks until a minute into the fourth quarter. Think about that for a second. A minute into the fourth quarter, and don't tell me it was foul trouble. It was not the foul trouble. He sat in the second quarter because of the foul trouble. So you go away from some of your strengths. He was shooting the ball well. He ended the game 6 of 9. He only got 9 shots. 9 shots. Flores, Houston gives the Kings athleticism problems. Yes, they do. It's a great point. How do the Kings counter that? Pressure. And one more thing, pressure. You've got to pressure them. And even if it is just a little bit of fake pressure, it is a mental thing. Don't let them get comfortable. Don't let them walk into shots. There is not a Giannis on this team. I understand why Giannis was able to walk into shots last game, because it's a tough guard for Domas. How the hell do you guard Giannis? Giannis had it working at all 3 levels offensively last game. So I understand why Domas was sagging off, but there's nobody tonight on Houston. They are very talented. I'm not taking anything away, but there is nobody that the Kings should be giving that much space to. So pressure is everything. And you really got to make them work on defense. That's the other side of it. The Kings did not make Milwaukee work on defense. The Kings made the other teams during that 7-game win streak work on defense, which makes offense for them a little bit more difficult. They get gassed earlier. Offense last game was so tremendously predictable. It was almost painful. So appreciate everybody here, by the way. Good to see Steely Beats back. What's up, Steely? Had to put a little comment in for you before the show. Time to begin a new win streak. Love it. Arvin, yes, indeed. BG, what's up, my man? How are you today? I am great. Looking forward to tonight. It is always a great day when we have Kings basketball. I get to have shows with Jerry and Grant. Sun shining. No complaints here whatsoever. Arvin, excited for a battle of all-star bigs. Dude, if you're Şengün, like if you're his trainer in the offseason, aren't these like the 2 games that you're circling? You're like, dude, you just think about it. You're going to have a back-to-back Jokic and then Sabonis. Because like if you separated the centers into different groups by their styles of play, you've got 3 that are in the Jokic category. Jokic, Sabonis, and Şengün. It's those 3 and nobody else. So the fact that he's got to see both of them on back-to-back nights, whoo, buddy. It's simple. If you have a lady, whatever she likes, you know what? I can't argue with that. I can acknowledge that.
Acknowledge me.
For sure. They play a big part. They play a big part. My wife will tell me, no, you're too old for that. Don't do that. You can't do that. I get it. Let's see. BG doesn't have a problem growing the beard. Alex, the 1 p.m. time works. Good. Glad it works for you. Let's see. Can't call though unless you did a 5 p.m. show. Thoughts on Collins talk? He's not necessarily a big. Wish we could keep Lyles if that happens. Well, this is the last year of Trey's contract here in Sacktown. I don't know that you're bringing Trey Lyles back for another run after this year. So if you can move him and you get somebody else on that front line that can play those minutes, and not saying they can replicate what Trey does, but to a little bit of a sample size, they can play a similar style, then I'm okay with moving Trey Lyles. Look, the two guys, if you want to be frank about it, and we're going to talk trade deadline here in a second, but if you want to be frank about it, Herter and Lyles are the guys that are being offered up on a platter when it comes any conversation, most conversations the Kings are having, and this is no secret. Sam Amick has talked about it. Much of the media around Sacramento has talked about it, that when the Kings are inquiring about guys, it's we've got Herter and Lyles. We can offer you Herter and Lyles. You know, there's a lot of talk around the league that this Cam Johnson trade is hanging on the Nets wanting 2 first-round draft picks. And we're going to hit that a little bit more in a little bit. But it's funny because if you've been with this show for a while, you've been with this channel for a while, we projected this going back to last season. Like when we were doing our exit shows and our exit interviews, and wrapping up the season during the summer shows when we were talking about, is Malik going to stay? Is he going to go? I harped on the CBA and I harped on why draft picks were going to become basically the most important capital in the NBA once the new CBA went into effect. And we're seeing that. And Sam Amick talked about that this morning. In fact, we're going to play a segment. I don't listen to a lot of other content here in Sacramento, but one thing that I always listen to, 2 guys that I greatly respect, 2 guys that really helped me get my start. Both of them came on with me. Both of them talked to me about the business, and 2 guys that I'm extremely grateful for, Jason Ross and Carmichael Dave. I listened to their segment with Sam Amick, and he talked about a couple things along those lines today. So we're going to play that as well. So they get the credit for that. But a lot going on. Kings and the Rockets tonight. After the Rockets, you got the Warriors. And then you have the Washington Wizards. Dirk talked about 3 of 4. I think you got to go 3-0 in these next 3, y'all. And I know that the Warriors have been struggling. I know they won last night in Minnesota. Anytime those 2 teams get together, and especially with what the Kings did to the Warriors last time, it's going to be a game. The Kings are going to have to be ready. So that one doesn't get a lot easier. Washington, little bit of a trap game. They can score a lot of points. The Kings need to handle that because the schedule after those 2 gets really, really brutal. Excuse me, Washington and then Golden State. I'm sorry. I misspoke there. So in the next week, you have those 2 national TV games. Next Wednesday is the Golden State game that's on national. It's ESPN. But look at this too, by the way. This is really important to point out. Look at the break that the Kings are getting right now. I know they only got 1 day off coming from the East Coast. You play tonight. You don't play again until Sunday. And thank goodness it's a 6 p.m. game. That could have been a 3 p.m. game, which the Kings usually don't play well in. And then you don't play again until Wednesday. That is so important. In the middle of the season to get that kind of rest, take advantage of it, but you've also got to win. There's no excuse with that type of rest between these 3 games that this team shouldn't go 3-0. I'm sticking to that. I'm sorry. You might say that I'm wrong. At minimum, the Kings need to come out of this 3-game stretch still at or above 500, which means they would have to go 2-1. But I really believe the Kings need to go 3-0 because after that, Denver, New York, Brooklyn, Philly, OKC, Minnesota, Orlando. Tough. So a lot of things lining up for the Kings with these 3 games, especially the fact that Houston played last night. I go back to this. Check it out. The Kings are a favorite tonight. The Kings are a favorite. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but the Kings are a 4.5-point favorite tonight against the Houston Rockets. Let's see if that's updated. It has. They are a 3.5-point favorite, and we have some updates, y'all. This is massive. Fred VanVleet, he's out. Fred VanVleet not playing tonight. How about that? Tari Eason, still game time decision. I'm hearing he's probably not playing, but that could change. Do not take that as confirmation because it's not. But I'm hearing it's unlikely he is going to play. Jabari Smith Jr. obviously out. Monk is probable. I would be very surprised if he does not give it a go. McLaughlin out. And then really all eyes turn to Devin Carter. Is he going to be available for this one? So a lot going on. Thanks for being here on a beautiful Thursday. Oscar, you never answered my question last show. Are you that Oscar? Are you the Oscar that I grew up with? The Oscar that I ran into not too long ago? Let me know. Appreciate you, BG. Appreciate the kind words, my man. Would you give the A's a beam if it meant they stayed in sack? Absolutely not. No. Fox needs to stop jacking up threes. We've been there and done that. In fact, I have some stats that we talked about yesterday. We didn't get into depth too much. We're going to look at them here in a second, but I think that's going to surprise you. There you go, Juan, picking us up before I got back to the chat. BG Ryano, your thoughts on the first TNT game on tonight? Battle, 2 best teams in the NBA record-wise, Cavs versus Thunder. Hell of a game. That's all I can say. That's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a massive one. Can't wait. I'm only going to be able to catch about the first probably quarter and a half. And then I'll be doing the pregame show, but I can't wait to watch that one back. It's going to be really good. Clay, what's up, man? If we trade Fox away, what kind of player are we looking to get in return? Power forward, I assume. Possibly. I don't know. I mean, you need a point guard. If we've learned anything, in fact, Jerry Reynolds and Grant, that was not very good grammar, so don't do that. But Jerry Reynolds, Grant, and I talked yesterday about the differences with this Kings team when you have Malik Monk. And then we went into one thing specifically, the pick and roll, which is the bread and butter between him and Sabonis. A lot of people asking, why is it that the pick and roll is not as effective or really isn't there with Fox and Sabonis? Because you saw a big change in the Bucks game. In fact, the only pick and roll you really saw in the Bucks game was between Fox and DeRozan. But listen to how Jerry explains it. Grant asks him to kind of break it down if somebody has never learned about basketball, and then I kind of jump in on the conversation. But I think it's really important. Check it out.
If I'm a casual fan and I'm sitting at home, I'm like, why would there be such a disparity with that?
I think it's simple as this, that really Fox is really looking to score on the pick and roll, and basically, not that he won't pass it, but he's looking to score first. And then with Malik, he's looking to make a play first. score second. And, it's the old Stockton Malone at the ultimate level, the pick and roll. The best that's ever done it. John Stockton was looking to make the play first. And of course, he could make it better than anybody, but he could also score. And so, Malik is not of that category playmaking, but that's the difference to me, that, and no discredit, to Fox, he's a scorer. He's looking to score first. And then, but that's why it doesn't work as well with Sabonis's offense.
And Jerry, I would add this as well. Sabonis sets some of the most bone-chilling hard screens that you can in the NBA. We saw one last night, and Malik Monk really knows how to set up his defender to come into that screen, and they rub shoulders if we're talking fundamentals. So, in short, Malik Monk uses that advantage that you have with that screen from Sabonis.
Yeah, he's great at that. That's a great point, Rhino, because our screens, I always tell so often guards move before the screen is established, like they're trying to trick somebody. You want them to see the screen. You want your defender to see the screen.
That's
right. And so let the screen get set. And then and nobody sets any better screens than Sabonis. So, just
right there, the one and only Jerry Reynolds. We're breaking it down, and that's what you lose when you don't have Malik Monk. If we're talking about, or I'm talking about, putting pressure on the defense, that's exactly it. Because here's the other element that Jerry and Grant and I didn't talk about. When you've got Sabonis and Monk, you're looking at the Western Conference, by the way. Love that you're watching from Prague, Clay. Thank you very much, man. What time is it over there? We're going to talk a lot about the game, so you are in luck. In fact, I'm going to talk about it right now. When you're doing that pick and roll with Monk and Sabonis at the top of the key, you're now forcing those two defenders to make decisions. You're forcing them to take some contact. You're forcing them to really kind of set the tone for what everybody else behind them is going to have to do with their help defense. Now, think about this. If you've got Fox on one side of the court, imagine Monk and Sabonis, top of the key, top of the three-point line, doing the pick and roll, coming downhill. But then you've got DeRozan to your left and Fox to your right. It's such a hard decision for how you're going to guard that. How are you going to help? It's basically saying if you're going to stick to those other two guys no matter what, then you're helping off Keegan or you're helping off Keon. So putting pressure on the defense, that's what we mean by putting pressure on the defense. As for the meeting later tonight, Cleveland 34-5. Oklahoma City just stacking wins, stacking picks. In fact, I talked about Dave. I talked about Jason, two guys I greatly appreciate and respect here in Sacramento. They had Sam Amick on this morning. They talked a little bit about Oklahoma City, but they also talked about the landscape of this next trade deadline. And I had talked in the offseason about it. I really went into a lot of depth with the CBA and how that was going to change things. And we saw it reflected in some of the moves the Kings made to dump salary, to get out of some of the aprons, which are the penalty levels, depending how much you are above or in the luxury tax. You had to dump off second round picks, and picks now, as opposed to players, are the stronger capital that teams are looking for if you're looking to make a trade and acquire somebody, because you have 4 years with that pick. And when I say that pick, whoever you draft with that pick, or you trade the pick and get more value for it, but you have 4 years with that rookie on a rookie pay scale. So it's friendly to the team, because now you can't build these super teams because of the aprons. Some of these teams like Memphis, for instance, if they want to go out, which there's a lot of chatter that Memphis might want to make a big move, maybe a Jimmy Butler per se, even though Jimmy has said he doesn't really want to be in Memphis. Let's say they still want to maybe make that move. They're going to have to do some financial gymnastics to make that happen, which also means you're going to probably have to involve a third team, which when you're involving a third team, you're also asking that team to, and they get something out of it, but you're asking that team to help you get better. So is that same team in your conference, in your division? Usually not, but you get what I'm saying. But back to the pick discussion, Dave asked the question this morning, and I'm so glad he did. This was Sam's answer, and he touches on a little bit with the Kings trade deadline situation as well.
And the new salary cap stuff and all that. So I would say, without us getting too nerdy into it, do you see on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your sense as to how busy this deadline would be? And then B, Jonas Valanciunas, they say we'll get a max of 2 second-round picks. Is we go from 4 picks for Gobert, 4 picks for Donovan Mitchell, and the talk that our draft picks being undervalued. Is the draft pick back? Has it made a comeback? And are we now valuing picks more?
Yeah, no question. I think the kind of the shock that teams have of how these big contracts restrict you and make business really hard to do has led to the uptick in valuing of picks, and and some of those different deals that you alluded to, Dave, changing. Which is why, even to bring it back to your Kings, like the idea of giving 2 first-round picks for a guy like Cam Johnson, I understand for the Kings why that's very hard to swallow. 2 picks for a guy like Valanciunas, 2 second-rounders, that is, like that kind of floats my boat. Like that, to me, that would be worth doing. But yeah, I mean, OKC has kind of rewritten the script on this, where they've got half the damn picks in the league. And they were ahead of this curve, but that is where we are right now. And teams are certainly, I think, realizing that you send too many of those out and you can say goodbye to the next decade or so.
Sam, it feels like the.
And while we're on the subject of the trade deadline, why don't we hit this really quick? A lot of talk about Golden State needs to go out and get somebody. Golden State they owe Steph Curry the opportunity to be competitive for a championship. Steph clapped back a little bit last night. Not usually like him, but I liked it. Here was Steph answering a question on SportsCenter after their win in Minnesota.
A 24-hour media or news cycle is hilarious at times. The fact that nobody's complacent here, nobody is okay with just being average. All the Twitter fingers who's got deals that we need to make can kind of just shut up a little bit and let us figure this thing out. Like we know we can be competitive. We showed that toughness tonight. Obviously, every team is trying to find ways to get better, and for us. We've been great for a very long time. This is just a unique year where we have to be able to stay relevant and give ourselves a chance and just have some life in a playoff series. And we have a whole lot of confidence that we can, beat anybody. So, that's it.
There you go.
When that guy says they've got a whole lot of confidence, it's almost that reminder that Steph, to a degree, is like Mahomes. If they get a ticket to the dance, watch the hell out. I get they've been struggling as of late. They're figuring it out. They've dealt with some injuries, but I don't want to see Golden State. If you think that we are past Golden State and we are above Golden State, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Just because we beat them in the play-in, just because we blew them out, one of the best games of the season by the Kings, you're wrong. They have Steph Curry and nobody else does. That matters. But strong statement from Steph Curry. Very strong statement. Yes, Carmichael Dave and Jason Ross. Yes. Credit to their show for that interview with Sam. 2 guys I greatly respect in this city. When I decided I wanted to try to make this a career, those were 2 guys that talked to me and came on with me. So yes, I have all the respect for them in the freaking world. Remember those backdoor cuts Fox was getting last game? That's why Fox doesn't need to handle the ball most of the time. But so this is the argument, though. And we've kind of, again, anybody that's just joining the show, not a Fox hater. Let's make that clear. We're talking about two different and distinct styles of basketball. Jerry laid it out really well. He's a scorer, he's not a creator. But you don't get that every play from him if he's off the ball. That's the thing. With a Keon Ellis, with a Keegan Murray, with a Devin Carter so far, you're getting more movement out of those guys, and you're getting a lot more standing around from DeMar and Foxy. DeMar, I get. Foxy, it's a little bit more complicated. And it is actually more complicated than the way I'm talking about it, because you have to worry about spacing. You don't want to put too many bodies in one area. The Bucks did a great job of spacing out the Kings last game defensively. They spaced them out perfectly, so the Kings could not help effectively. So there's that element too. But, it's just, I feel like a lot of times watching Foxy's game, whether it's working or it's not working, and again, not knocking it's just a little bit of a roller coaster ride. It's a lot of ups and downs. It's 3/4 of so-so, and then 1/4, here it comes, right? And sometimes that's good enough for a team to get over the top. I just don't know that a team like this, the way that Doug Christie is asking them to play, that necessarily works the best, especially when you're relying so heavily on a guy like Sabonis. If you're going to make Sabonis a centerpiece of what you're doing, you got to use the guy. And look, I'm going to put up some stats really quick. And again, don't want to go down this rabbit hole too far when it comes to the Fox factor, what you're going to do with Fox. Really quick, BG, I'm a diehard Kings fan, nearly 35 plus years old. Oklahoma. All right, man. Some of the funnest games to attend are the Kings Thunder. I also got to rep OKC. Seeing the Thunder finally so good again is a blast. Yeah, absolutely, man. When the Kings sucked, you don't, if you're a Kings fan, usually you don't have a second team, especially if you're here in Sacktown. But when the Pelicans went to play in OKC after the hurricane, and then when OKC finally got a team, I felt like the OKC fan base and watching an OKC game was the closest thing to watching a Kings game. And not necessarily the style of play, but like the atmosphere, the fans. It just, I liked it. It was cool. So I understand what you're saying. Totally understand what you're saying. Moss, just looked at the current standings. Lost tonight drops us back to 11th or 12th, depending on the Suns game. Look, Moss, it's going to be like that the rest of the way. Nobody, we'll go back to the standings really quick. Nobody's running away from this thing outside of the top three, in my opinion. 1, 2, and 3 are set. Now, maybe not in that order. I think 1 is set. 1's in stone. OKC's going nowhere. Houston and Memphis, I think those two will be going back and forth for the second and third spots. Once you get below that, I think you're going to see a lot of rotating. And much like last year, you could be 2 games out of the 6th seed, and you could be a game out of the play-in. And what I mean out of the play-in, like not in the play-in altogether. So you're going to be looking at stuff like this the rest of the season. I just don't see anybody running away with it. I don't. The West is that good. Jerry Reynolds called it perfectly before the season. We're sitting here talking about what's the Kings win total going to be? Are they going to hit 50? Can they get 51? I think I said 51, and I couldn't have been more wrong. And Jerry couldn't have been more right about the West being just complete attrition, teams taking each other out. You're not going to have the bottom of the West that's losing every single time they play against somebody else in the West. I mean, for instance, You can't see it right now, but the Jazz have been competitive some nights. Portland's not playing bad basketball. While they're in a total rebuild, Scoot Henderson just had a very efficient career night not too long ago, a couple of nights ago. The Pelicans, they're getting healthy. So you're not going to see. It's why these Eastern Conference games really are so important. The Kings have got to be able to pad a little bit of their schedule. But anyways, getting back to my point about the combinations and the different styles of play. Here's what I'm going to put up. We put this up briefly yesterday. And let me explain what you're looking at. So what you are looking at right now, that is the two different 5-man combinations for the Sacramento Kings. They've had 3 different starting lineups that have played substantial minutes. So the one that's played the most minutes is the one without Monk. But now that Monk's in the starting lineup going forward, there you go. Right there. Number one, or excuse me, no, I believe that one actually has the most minutes together because Monk was playing more minutes when he wasn't starting. So excuse me, these are not starting lineups. These are 5-man combinations. 5-man combinations. Let's make that clear. So these are the 5-man combinations. The pluses and the minuses that you see in each of these categories, those are against the Kings' season averages in each category. So, for instance, if you're looking at points between those combinations, when this combination, the top one, DeRozan, Fox, Murray, Monk, and Sabonis are on the court together, they're averaging 3.5 points more during that time than the average for the team this season. Same thing below. The other combination, 9.3 points more. Now, if you see a negative, that means it's less than the team's average. And in some categories, you want a negative. Here's what I'm displaying to you. Look at the differences between the combination of DeRozan, Ellis, Monk, Murray, and Sabonis. 101 minutes is a decent sample size. It's not a big enough sample size, but it's a decent sample size. The stats are through the freaking roof when those 5 are on the floor together. Look at that. Now, you go up to the top one with Monk, Fox, Sabonis, Murray, and DeRozan. Not even close. I mean, it's not even close. Let's go to the other categories. Same combinations. So the bottom combination without Fox and with Ellis instead. Top combination with Fox. It's freaking mind-blowing. And so, again, not a De'Aaron Fox thing. Him personally, it's the fact that the ball does not move because you have part of it's DeRozan too, but the ball does not move as much when you have those guys on the floor because they're predominantly looking for their shot as opposed to, and what I'm trying to illustrate here, the bigger point is not so much that you're better without Fox. What I'm trying to illustrate to you is the difference of what you can get out of everybody else on this team if you have a true point guard on the floor. A genuine, true point guard who can also score. Malik Monk is not that, but Malik Monk is the closest thing that this team has to a true point guard right now. But the ball moves around. Everybody gets more involved. Everybody's more comfortable in the game. That also picks up the pace, that picks up the tone on the defensive end. But those numbers don't lie. That's not a 4-minute sample size. That is 101-minute sample size of DeRozan, Ellis, Monk, Murray, and Sabonis. So then you combine in the eyeball test, right? That we saw in the 3 games the Kings won without Foxy. which game was funner to watch? Which game looked like the guys were having more fun? It was definitely Boston over Milwaukee. I don't think there's an argument there. So what I'm trying to say is you absolutely need a true point guard on this team that can run the pick and roll, that can put pressure on the defense, and who can also score to a degree. But you need a point guard that's looking to create before they score. And I thought Jerry did a beautiful job of illustrating that yesterday during our show. So as we come back into tonight, assuming Malik Monk plays in this one, I want to see how it's going to work. I want to see what I am looking for. And Dirk said this is going to be a key for him tonight. I want to see if you can get those same qualities offensively and the same ball movement that you get when you have a Monk Keon Ellis combination on the court. Can we see Fox step up and do some of those same things that Keon's doing, those little things, more cutting backdoor, more sharing of the ball, cutting down on the 3-point attempts? It's a very strong statistic. It's an incredibly strong statistic. And then you couple that also with the 2-man combinations that we put up and then the plus minuses that we put up for the team this season. Very, very interesting stuff, but it's undeniable right there. And tonight it's a big game. We've really laid it out. Monk plays point guard. Fox plays the 2. That's it. Well, yes, Donald, that's part of it, but you also, there's a reason Keon Ellis in his 3-point shooting, excellent. And don't get me wrong, this is not one side of the court. That 101 minutes is not offense only. That's defense too. So you need, and maybe that's where a guy like Keon Ellis, that's where it actually shows up on the stat sheet. Because that's usually where those things that don't show up in traditional categories show up. It's the plus minus. If we go to the Kings plus minuses this season per player, let's go to these really quick before we move on to the next point. So here we go. Here's your Kings plus minuses this season. Oh, those are your 2-man combinations. Excuse me. Wrong screen. Here we go. Here's your Kings statistics this season. And if we go to the plus minuses by player, Sabonis, 3.6. Monk, 3.6. Keon, 3.3. DeRozan, 2.5. Keegan, 1.9. Trey Lyles, 1.3. You got to throw Doug out because Doug has not played enough minutes to really make that qualify. But then you come down to Foxy, 0.7. 0.7. So I think what Dirk's asking for, what I'm asking for, and a lot of the rest of the fan base wants to see is a more consistent Foxy with that unit rather than, one great quarter. I want to see 4 solid quarters. And we saw that, by the way, this first meeting against Houston. So if you get that tonight, this is going to be a fun game. And make no mistake about it, this is a game where the Kings need to push the pace. The Kings absolutely need to be up tempo, and the Rockets like to play up tempo too. And the Rockets are a heck of a defensive team. You don't want to take that away from them. The Rockets play very good defense. For this game to come out in Sacktown's favor, it's got to be one of those races to 100 points. They've got to do it on the defensive end. They've got to be physical. It's got to be tough, and you've got to do it without fouling. So there's a lot of things the Rockets do well. We've looked at some of their stats, but it's going to be a fun one. And on national TV too, you're going to have a building that is rocking. The last thing you want tonight is a building that's booing this team on national TV. I don't think you'll see it happen. This fan base is going to be pumped up to have this team back in Sacktown. And I'm very optimistic, especially the fact that the Rockets played last night. They're coming off of a win. We just beat Denver. We should be able to beat the Kings. And the Rockets, again, we go back to the Western Conference standings. They have been playing very good basketball. You look at them, reason they're second in the West. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Net rating does not lie. 6.2. They've won 5 games in a row. They beat Memphis twice in a week. How about that? So really interesting stuff here. So give me your thoughts on tonight's game. Don't forget, we are back tonight, starting with the pregame show, 6:15. Be getting you ready. We'll go much more into the individual matchups. We'll talk more about the keys to victory. We can take your phone calls as well. So pregame, 6:15, halftime. Come to us, Jerry Reynolds. Only place you'll find him at halftime for every game, right here on If You Don't Like That, giving us his thoughts on the first half, giving us his keys to the second half, and then also final score predictions. We get all yours, and we'll get Jerry's as well. And then post game, we'll be taking your calls. Love to hear from you. Good, bad, or indifferent. Grant and I will be here for it. Can the Kings start a new streak tonight? And answer the question, or at least push the question out for another day. Can they stay at or over 500 for the rest of the season? That would be a huge win. The Kings could do that. So we will be hitting that later tonight. Real quick, let me tell you about one of my favorite places here in town. It is Bennett's. We talk about them all the time here on the channel. Prime cuts of seafood and steak. There's a reason for it. It's that good. 3 different locations here in the greater Sacramento area. The West Side Grill, the newest of the 3 in Rockland in the Blue Oaks Town Center. They've got specials throughout the week. Happy hour. You can make it out today, 2 to 6 o'clock at all of their locations. This weekend brunch, one of my favorite things to do as well. Go to BennettRestaurants.com. You can make reservations, check out the entire menu, check out all their specials. And by the way, you're having a get together, if you're thinking about doing an office party, whatever it may be, a bigger birthday party, they'll set aside one of their private dining rooms for you, or they can bring the party to you. Don't take it from me. Take it from the man himself, owner Brian Bennett.
I don't know about you, but if you're thinking about having a holiday party or a party of any kind, and you don't ask us to make our house smoked salmon, to grill our prime New York steak, to grill long stem artichokes, to make ahi pokey, what are you talking about? You're going to have a party and you're not going to call Bennett's and take care of you? My goodness gracious. Give us a call. We can make this for Easter. We can make it for Christmas. We can make it for anybody's.
Give them a call by going to BennettRestaurants.com. You can get all the phone numbers there. You can put in your orders to go, make reservations, buy gift cards, much more. BennettRestaurants.com. Huge thanks to them for sponsoring the King's Court. Can you tell I'm fighting it off? My little man has been sick all week, and one of the kids who lives on our street that goes to the same school, great kid, he carpools with my son. So I've still been taking him to school this week and picking him up from school, even though my son hasn't been going. So I've seen his teacher, and she's like, something's going around the classroom. This kid tested positive for that, and this kid was out with this, and I had a cough. And I'm like, here we go. It's going to hit the house. It's going to hit the house. And my wife, I could see her slowly. My wife's one of those people. She does not like taking medicine, which is fine. I respect that. Totally respect that. 100%. But she's got these different like holistic alternatives that she'll do. Like during COVID, she was downing like a garlic clove, a spoonful of honey, and something else every day to like kind of keep the immune system fresh or whatever. But I saw her bust out. One of her staples is taking cinnamon sticks and boiling them and calling it cinnamon tea. And I saw her hitting the cinnamon tea, and I'm like, uh-oh, she's starting to feel it. She's not going to tell me she's feeling it, but she's starting to feel a little something. And then slowly over the past couple days, I've been like, I've had to like clear my throat a couple times. And I'm like, keep fighting, immune system. You can do it. You can do it. Kick it off. Do not get sick. The last time I was sick this summer, it was awful. I had pneumonia for like 6 weeks. Some of you may remember that. That was brutal. Doing shows was so freaking hard. My chest, I've broken ribs before. My chest has never hurt like that before. So I apologize for the raspiness, for the little breakthroughs, or if you hear me cough, trying to hit that cough button. Anyways, one thing that I wanted to talk about real quick. Bob Uecker. Lost Bob Uecker at the age of 90 today. Most people remember him for his role in Major League. You remember the Major League movies? Just a freaking gem. Some of the best one-liners ever.
Ball 8.
Ball 8. Swing and a miss. All those different ones. Bob Uecker passes away at the age of 90. One thing that people don't realize about Bob Uecker, he didn't just call baseball games. He didn't show up as an announcer in the Major League Series. He played baseball. Dude was a baseball player. He threw right, batted right, played for the Milwaukee Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Philadelphia Phillies, the Atlanta Braves from 62 to 67. And how about this, too? He won a damn World Series with the Cardinals in 1964. Career batting statistics, 200. Guy hit 14 home runs. He's definitely done some stuff with Hollywood, the movies. He's done bloopers before. He's done some late night TV shows. But Bob Uecker, one of those voices, man. I remember those Major League movies. I thought those were so good back in the day. I used to, Charlie Sheen, you know, like far before these days.
Like winning.
Like when Charlie Sheen was the Wild Thing. He had that crazy haircut. Those were great movies. Some of the best sports movies, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I still think the best sports movie is Rudy. Like, I'll go to battle with people on that. But a guy that just his life dedicated to baseball, and a lot of people recognize Bob Uecker passed away at the age of 90. It has been a bad couple, almost a year, 14 months of losing sports figures, media figures. It's been awful. But yeah, swing and a miss. And the little one-liners are him pouring his booze into his coffee cup during the movies. The statistician that's always right next to him. Such great stuff, man. Ball 8.
Ball 8.
Ball 8. So yeah, celebration of life for Bob Uecker. You know, he 90 years old. What can you say? You lived a full life. So he was honored, by the way, by the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 2003 with the Ford C. Frick Award in recognition of a career in broadcasting. He did the radio broadcasts for the Brewers in a while. So yeah, cool stuff, man. Cool stuff looking back on Bob Uecker's life and career. Unfortunately, passed away at the age of 90. But yeah, I'll go to battle on sports movies. I don't think you can find a better one than Rudy. Put them in the chat. If you think there's a better one than Rudy, you tell me. Which sitcom was he in? Mr. Belvedere? Yes. Yes, he was George Owens on Mr. Belvedere. Very true. Good job by you, Donald. Well done. Jack, do you think we should trade Fox? Dude, I only got about 12 minutes left in this show. That's about an hour and a half conversation. Look, here's, I'll give it to you in a nutshell. Jack, and I know you've asked this question, I believe, before too. Remember the Titans? Okay. Crux is saying, remember the Titans. That, you know, that one had a lot of other important stuff mixed into it, right? civil rights. Yeah, there was some important stuff too there. Rookie of the Year was good. Rookie of the Year was a good movie. I liked Rookie of the Year, but I think it's a little too gimmicky. It's a little too gimmicky. You're a kid that falls on your arm, and now you're like rigor mortis like this, but you can throw a 200-mile-per-hour fastball. I don't know. I probably go Angels in the outfield over Rookie of the Year. But there's some funny moments in Rookie of the Year. Yeah, dude. Rudy. It's got to be Rudy. Okay, you guys are going to get on me here. Never seen a Rocky movie. Not one time, Finchy. I have not seen a Rocky movie. I know. Necessary Roughness. Why does that sound familiar, Adam? Which one was Necessary Roughness? Friday Night Lights. Yeah, Friday Night Lights was good. Friday Night Lights was good. I think I prefer Varsity Blues, though, over Friday Night Lights. Depends on what we get for him. Talking about Fox, there's a trade available. Little Giants, dude. Great movie. Great movie. Little Giants, Icebox, Spike. It's a great movie. It's a really good movie. You know what? Rudy just resonates with me. I've kind of like, if you go back when Grant had me on his podcast the first time as a guest, we had like, as Grant and I were kind of forming our relationship professionally, and things started moving along because we never set out for this to become what it has. It just happened that way, and it's been really cool. I wouldn't change it for the world, and I'm so grateful for everything that Grant's done and everything you all have done. And I said, Dave, Jason, they were a part of it at the beginning too. But we had done this thing on one of his shows where I gave him a bunch of different names, and I said he could only respond with one word. And so when I came on his podcast, and it was on the Listen App show. Everybody, the OGs know about the Listen App show with Grant. And so he did it to me, and he's like, one word to describe yourself. And I'm like, Rudy, because that's just the type of person I am. Like, I will not stop. If I want something, I will get it. Like, I will. And then my dad we were always Notre Dame fans growing up. John Finch, you'll know this name. Somehow my family, distant family, is related to the Henrettys. Terry Henretty, famous quarterback for Notre Dame. So Notre Dame, we watched Notre Dame football, right? And then Rudy comes out, the story behind Rudy, it resonated with me. When I told my dad I wanted to play football, because even though I ended up going the basketball route in college, I played football from 4th grade all the way through high school. And I could have had some football opportunities, but basketball was the way that I decided to go. My dad made me watch Rudy, and he put me through the Rudy stuff, man. He took me in the backyard and when I say backyard, he took me to the corner of the backyard that used to, or was supposed to be, a garden that wasn't a garden. It was like overgrown weeds, and it had like all those little sticky round things. He had me doing up downs like Rudy there. So it just always resonated with me. And I've always lived my life kind of like by that with Rudy. So that's why it's so hard to move me off the Rudy argument. But Little Giants, man, that was such a great movie. Great movie. I mean, it's not like, how do you put this? It's not like sports, right? But like all the way around, great sports movie. Great sports movie. With you for sure there. Preston says, go Buckeyes. All right. Downhill Racer, Robert Redford. Never seen it. Longest Yard. Seen that? No, Finchy, man. I have never seen a Rocky movie. I've seen portions, probably like 10, 15-minute portions. Never seen a Rocky movie. Let's see. Moneyball. Moneyball was okay. It was a little too slow for me. I was never really an Oakland fan. So I don't know. Moneyball gets second vote. All right. Hardball. I don't remember Hardball tag. Which one's Hardball? Raging Bull. Don't remember that one. Rudy was based on a true story, right? Yes, it was. Now, it was tweaked, though. Rudy was definitely tweaked a little bit. Everything didn't happen exactly as it plays out in Rudy, but the framework is pretty much the same, as a lot of those movies are. Field of Dreams, never seen it. See, you guys would be surprised, you guys and gals. This is not a big movie house here. It's just not. We don't watch a lot of movies, and if we do, it's kids stuff, which is now kind of changing because my son's growing up. But yeah, I mean, we see. If I get dragged to the movies with the family, we're usually seeing something they want to see, not something that I want to see. But a good sports movie, sign me up. Little Giants is in the conversation. I like Little Giants. I think you okay. So if we're doing a top five, you're not moving me off Rudy, and we've got about 5 minutes left in the show. You're not moving me off Rudy. Rudy's number one in my book. You guys can put your five together. I would imagine most of you have Rocky somewhere in that realm. I think Remember the Titans probably has to be somewhere in that realm. Sandlot, yes, that was a good movie too. Also taught me not to chew tobacco. Trying to think, The Replacements, we got that. You've got some work to do, buddy. Yeah, I know. You know what we're actually watching right now? You guys are gonna laugh. You're really gonna laugh. We're watching the Harry Potter movies. We just got through the second Harry Potter. My wife's read all the books. She's seen all the movies. I had never seen one of them. So I don't know if that's going to be a continuing trend where we keep watching the Harry Potter movies, but we've been doing that lately. Is Silver Linings Playbook considered a sports movie? Probably not. No, that's a good movie, though. I think it qualifies as a Christmas movie. It's got to be a Christmas movie. Uh-oh, here we go. I'm going to piss Ryan off. Hearing Joe Montana saying how much of a joke Rudy is makes me laugh out loud. Joe is like, that movie is a joke. Now I'm done. No, Horse, you're not done, my man. You're not done, Horse. You don't just get to come in and say you're done.
So I'm making a point that I am really far in the rear.
I mean, it's really hard to talk movies with Haunted Horse. First off, Haunted Horse was in movies, for those that don't know. Haunted Horse was legit in Hollywood for a period of his life and in movies. But the problem I run into with Haunted Horse is he's always like talking about different stuff, like movies I don't want to see.
Let's go see a porno.
I don't want to talk about those. Horse, come on, man. Hoosiers? Then come on, Adam.
That's terrible.
Caddyshack. Haven't seen it from start to finish, but I know it's a pretty good one. I've seen parts of it. How about Tin Cup? Tin Cup. That's a good one. Alex chiming in as we're getting ready to wrap up. Horse, I kind of set that up about the Rudy movie, by the way. So you're good, man. I mean, I don't want to.
Let's go see a porno.
Go see one of those with you. But if you want to watch Rudy together, we can do that. And we can explain the differences. Adam, the Notebook, Coach Carter. Yes, this is true. This is very true. I had not seen Die Hard until just recently. Until the week of Die Hard, the Jungle Edition. That is a true statement. It's a very true statement. Now, if you want to talk about these movies, I'm all over them.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent.
If it's Will Ferrell, I'm there. Like most Will Ferrell movies, I'm there for. I'm in. The old schools, the Anchormans. I could recite so many of those. A lot of the Vince Vaughn movies. What about Dodgeball? Does Dodgeball qualify as a sports movie? You guys are going to make me run over. All right, we'll take this show till 2:37 as we continue the movie conversation. See, there should be two different categories here. Movies about a sports genre and those based on a true story. Okay. Okay. Thank you for picking me up, Dorian. Harry Potter is dope. All right. So I'm only through two of them. So, like, the thing is, my son, he could have the sports world open to him. We could be going to games. We could do all of that stuff. The kid doesn't want to do sports. He doesn't want to watch sports. It's Pokemon, it's anime, it's Pikachu, it's cartoons, it's Simpsons, which, by the way, the kids should not be watching Simpsons. That's our bad. That is bad parenting right here. But anyways, what I'm saying is, if it's sports, it's on me. I don't get that support from the wifey. She's the same as him. So, like, Harry Potter, I've got to meet in the middle. Or, like, we did Squid Games. We're getting way out of here. Okay, A League of Their Own. Okay, for sure. Dodgeball. Oh, yes. Cool Runnings. Yes. Cool. Okay, so I agree. Who said two categories? Donald said two categories. So if we're going two categories, Cool Runnings has to be in that category, right? Cool Runnings. Would we have to put Rudy in that category? I guess we would have to put Rudy in that category. Cool Runnings, Rudy. Remember, well, see, it's hard to put Remember the Titans in that category too. And then Dodgeball, I guess, would go in the other category. Yeah, there's a lot of good Space Jam. No, see, I can't do Space Jam. I'm not with it. Roy, what's up, man? Weird Science? Come on now. Big Trouble in Little China? What are those? I don't know what those are, Roy. Dead serious. Don't know what those are. Okay, Horse, don't die on this hill, my man. Don't die on this hill. I already said I understand the movie was a little bit different, but Rudy is not fake, my man. Rudy is not fake. Don't come in here and try to rain on my Rudy parade. Don't do it, my man. Athletics, baseball in the house. We're talking sports movies. What's up? Did you watch Like Mike growing up? What about Love and Basketball? Love and Basketball was a good one. $1 Million Baby. Okay. Sorry to sound like a broken record, but The Natural with Robert Redford, phenomenal movie. Don't even know what it's about. Okay, Trouble in Little China is getting some reaction. Best sport. Okay, Hardball. Why do I feel like I've seen Hardball? And why are we not saying the Major League Series? The Major League Series has to be in the fiction category. For sure. Karate Kid. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Because I've watched Cobra Kai, but I've not seen the Karate Kid. So we're getting places here. The Natural. What's The Natural about? Are we going to start throwing Radio? Okay. What about the one with Mark Wahlberg, where he was a Philadelphia Eagle? We're leaving so many movies out right now. I feel like this is going to be a bigger conversation than one day. We need to open this up. He Got Game. I loved He Got Game. I loved that movie. What about The Sixth Man? Who's seen The Sixth Man with the Wayans brothers? The Sixth Man is one of those movies that made me cry legitimately. Little Giants is in there. What about Mr. Baseball? Mr. Baseball, anybody? Mr. Baseball, Tom Selleck, hell of a movie.
You're my boy!
Tom Selleck was my boy. Invincible. Yes, there you go. We're leaving some out. Okay. You know, we might love The Sixth Man. That was a good movie. That was a UW movie. Sandlot. Yeah, The Sandlot's got to be in there. I'm with you. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to continue this conversation. We're going to continue this conversation, and we might need to come up with brackets. We might need to come up with brackets for fiction and nonfiction. In A Haunted Horse, it's my show. Rudy is going in nonfiction. Mighty Ducks. What about Happy Gilmore, y'all? Oh, see, this almost needs to be its own show. Okay. Yeah, somebody brought up Coach Carter. John's sticking by Rocky. All right. We're going to have to put this conversation on hold. We are going to keep this one going, keep the movies fresh. We will roll this into tomorrow. This will continue into tomorrow. So everybody do your homework, bring your top 10, whatever you're going to do. And we are, somebody brought up Coach Carter. We're going to roll this into tomorrow, and we're going to figure out how we settle this. Sixth Man made me think of Juwanna Mann. Those things have nothing in common. Come on. Tag on the beat. Keep going next show. Yeah, no, we're going to do this. We're going to keep it going. We're going to make brackets, and we're going to run it in March. That's exactly what we are going to do. 100%. So 100%. That's what we're going to do. And we will put the votes out on Twitter for the matchups. So I need you guys to do your homework. Bring your sports movies to the show tomorrow. We're going to run it back. Hey, we are back later today. What's up, Progressive? Let's go Kings. 6:15, y'all. Yep, 100%. We can vote on it. We will make it all official. So we will start taking considerations tomorrow for the brackets. And we will find a way. I will have the ultimate discretion. I am the committee that's going to set the brackets, but all of you are going to be on the committee together. We're all going to be on it together, but I will ultimately set the brackets with your input, and we will vote, and we will see what it comes down to. We'll make it probably a 16. We'll do a 16-team bracket for each side, fiction and nonfiction, and we'll do it we can vote. Okay, we'll make it happen. We'll do March Madness of the movies. See, magic happens here. Appreciate all you. You are the best freaking community in town. No doubt. Huge thanks to Bennett's for sponsoring today's show again. Don't forget, we are back all night. This is just the tip of the iceberg on tonight's coverage for the Kings and the Rockets. Next up, the pregame show, 6:15. Don't forget, we've got halftime with Jerry Reynolds. Post-game, Napes and I taking your calls. But pregame, 6:15, Kings Rockets. We get way more in depth on this one tonight. Make it a great rest of the afternoon. Can't wait to be with you at 6:15. Go Kings. Light the damn beam.
That's terrible.
No, it's not.
Light the beam.
Light the beam. Court is dismissed. And we've got a great March coming up. This is going to be great. See you at 6:15.